शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। कुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्त्वन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवद्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः। नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै बधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। यश्छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया आस्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासं शरीरं मे विचर्षणं जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवं ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अहं वृक्षस्य रेरिव कीर्तिः पृष्ठं गिरेरिव ऊर्ध्वपवित्रो वाजिनीव स्वमृतमस्मि द्रविणगुं स्वमर्चनं सुमेधा अमृतोक्षितः इति श्रुतं को नानुवचनम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। आप्यायन्तु मम अङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुः श्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। वाङ् मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य मानीस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः तनेनाधितेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः भद्रं नो अपि वातयमनः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नोस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः यो ब्रह्मानं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तं हदेवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Okay, shall we do meditation? ॐ नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यम्बकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिकालाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः। The teaching of the Upanishads the very essence of the Vedas, which are the Vedas, that is, the revelation of truth about my life, myself, Ishvara, the Jagat, And the Mandukya Upanishad that we are currently studying gives a very clear definition of the summary of these truths revealed in the various Upanishads. I meditate on these teachings, and in doing so, recognize the patterns of my own life, the truth about my own life in terms of the patterns. So it consists of the teaching, or the progress in the teaching, consists of following the revelations, the instructions, the teachings of the Mandukya Upanishad in this case, and recognizing that it is talking about me, my life, the patterns of my life. And as I see this more and more clearly, it allows me to see where my mistaken identity is, and to understand the truth about myself. So just a small travel into some aspects of the truth today in the meditation. It was said earlier in the verses 1 through 6, the verse number 5 was focusing on the prajna, myself as prajna, which is a state where my identity with a separate individual is submerged. It does not disappear, but it is submerged in the form of a seed. Prajna, which is the state of deep sleep, is the expression of Ishvara. In the verse number 6, Ishvara was cited in various ways. Sarvajnaha, Sarveshwaraha, Antaryami, Sarvasya Prabhavaha, Sarveshwaraha. Let us just examine that aspect of Ishvaraha. Ishvaraha is prajnaha for everyone. The entire creation passes through prajna. It resolves into prajna. It does not matter who you are, what you are. Everyone resolves into prajna, the seed form. Anandamaya, in which the preponderance, the vast majority is pure joy. This Anandaha is not generated by the jiva. It is not designed by the jiva. It is not controlled by the jiva. Any jiva, whether it is an animal, a bird, a human being, anyone. The Anandamayaha, Prajnaha is the very nature of Ishvaraha. So one can see from this that Ishvaraha is actually Sarveshwaraha. It is in fact the Prajnaha for everyone. There is no deep sleep state for anyone which is not in the form of Anandamayaha, Prajnaha, the presence of Ishvara, the very nature of Parameshwara, the very experience of Parameshwara is given to all. It is a very natural state. But that this is me, my nature, my natural nature, and not the state that I am in, is not known to me. So pragyaha is tinged by ajnanam, by not knowing this fact. I have the experience, but without the knowledge. From this pragyaha, which is anandamayaha, the form of a seed, springs forth vijnanamayaha, vijnanamayaha is the identity of a jiva. The identity of a limited person. Karta, the doer. Bhokta, the enjoyer. A sense of individuality, separateness, duality from the world, all springs forth from vijnanamayaha. The vijnanamayaha is simply an identity. The jiva, you and I, not knowing clearly that we are in fact the same as Ishvaraha, go back to the seed form from time to time, unmanifest as a jiva, and spring forth from there as a jiva from time to time. So the Jagrat Avastha, the waking state in particular, is the work of Vijnanamaya, which is characterized by a sense of identity. And a sense of identity which is inherent to a sense of limitation. And a sense of limitation which is just a modification of the sense of non-limitation. Pragyaha, Anandamayaha. It's as though it's a modification in the form of a reflection. And this identity of Vijnanamayaha is an opportunity to look at the truth about both Vijnanamayaha and Anandamayaha. And to look at the truth about Pragyaha Anandamayaha as being nothing but Sarveshwaraha. And to look upon Vijnanamayaha as just an upadhi, a temporary adjunct. Like a reflection is a temporary adjunct. For temporary, the word adjunct means the one that creates some experience, even though it is not true. When you look at yourself as a reflection, you do have an appearance. But the appearance is not true. So the Vijnanamayaha, through teaching and meditation, is an opportunity to see that Pragyaha, Anandamayaha, is my nature because of Sarveshwaraha. Sarveshwaraha means that it is Ishvara which is present in all forms. Like space is present in all enclosed spaces. So Anandaha is the very nature of Sarveshwaraha, And so therefore it is my nature too. But not knowing that, misinterpreting the experience due to ajnanam, lack of knowledge, I spring forth as Vijnanamayaha. So through teaching of Vedas in the form of Upanishads, to see exactly what is going on, where the mistakes are made, where the truth is, and through my own thinking, my vichara, my meditation, I begin to see that this is in fact true in my life as well. So through meditation, which needs to follow the teaching. Meditation without the teaching is just an experience. Meditation following the teaching is lasting, is truthful. So we will do such meditations from time to time. To see the truth of the teaching. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Om ityetadakshara idagum sarvam. Om ityetadakshara idagum sarvam. Tasya upavyakyanam. Bhutam bhavat bhavishyaditi. Sarvam Omkara eva. Yachanyat trikalatitam. Tadapi Omkara eva. Sarvagum hi etat brahma. Ayamatma brahma. Soyam atma chatushpat. Jagritasthano bahishpragyaha. Saptang ekona vimshati mukhaha. Sthula bhuk vaishwanaraha prathamapadaha. Swapnasthano antah pragyaha. Saptang ekona vimshati mukhaha. Pravivikta bhuktajaso dvitiya padaha. Yatra supto na kanchana kamam kamayate. Na kanchana swapnam pashyati tat sushuptam. Sushuptasthana eki bhutaha. Pragyana ghanaha eva anandamayaha. Hyananda bhuk cheto mukhaf pragyah tritiya padaha. Mukhaf pragyah tritiya padaha. Esha sarveshvaraha. Esha sarvagyaha. Esho antaryami. Esha yonihi. Sarvasya prabhavapyayau hi bhutanam. So in the last class, we finished the verse, the Karika verse number 3. We're pretty much done with that, but just a few commentary on it before we go further. So it said, Vishwo hi sthula bhuk nityam taijasaha pravivikta bhuk ananda bhuk tatha pragyah tridha bhogam nibodata. So here, as we saw, that the states of Anandamaya, Manomaya and Vijnanamaya, which are characterized by deep sleep, then the Jagrat Avastha and also the dream state, all three of them in various forms actually present themselves in the Jagrat Avastha also. So this was not pointed out explicitly by the Upanishad. And so Gaudapada extends that by pointing out that please see that your experiences in your Jagrat Avastha include elements of deep sleep and Swapna Avastha itself. And so there it says how we saw that. The how was, and we saw this this picture of an animal on one side and a devata on the other, and the human being somewhere in between. And we saw that the human experience can be either a sthula bhuk. Sthula bhuk means something which is directly experienced through food, some sthula, some very gross object like food, etc., touching. Sex also is also part of that. And so this is very prevalent and predominant in the animal avastha. Because if you look at the animals, to them science and music and thinking and so on is not possible. The way they are designed by Ishvara, they just want, at the moment they wake up in the morning, their whole thing has two aspects to it. One is procreation, which is also part of the design of Ishvara, because the species has to continue. But the other one is survival through food. This is what they do. That's the animal state. And so that means their experience of the body-related things is predominant. In fact, it is total. Forget about predominant. It is total. And on the other hand, you have devas that have some identity but without any body. They don't have a body. They are not born out of mother and father. They don't grow. They don't go through the state of being a child first and then slowly becoming, bigger and bigger and so on and so forth like you and I do. No, that's not how they do that. And we can visualize, because you can see how is that possible. We can see how in our dream state we do this. In our dream state, we immediately adopt an identity without going through father and mother and birth and so on and so forth. So the devas also are exactly like that. And the reason that it is the case is that their bhoga, you see, this verse number 3 is focused on bhoga, the sense of experience. Their sense of experience is sukshma bhoga. Vishvo hi sthula bhuk nityam taijasaha pravivikta bhuk taijasaha ananda bhuk tatha pragyaha. So I would imagine, I'm not sure, I haven't really read this somewhere, but that the devas also have an ananda bhuk. They also go to sleep perhaps. I have no idea. All I know is that they don't have a body, so they don't really have the sthula bhuk. They have mostly sukshma bhuk. But whether they have ananda bhuk, I would presume so. I'll have to find out from some of the teachers how it is the case. But anyway, going back to the very the scale of things, so the devas are primarily sukshma bhuk. The animals are sthula bhuk. The jiva, as human being, is somewhere in between. Somewhere in between. And in fact, we should see this very clearly, that what we need to do, what we should do, is minimize sthula bhuk and maximize sukshma bhuk. And that possibility is slowly given to us. In fact, it's interesting that our teachers also have said that if you look at a human baby, the very lifestyle of human baby is such that in the beginning it is like an animal. Like for example, the baby is born and it's hungry. It wants the mother's milk. And you say, no, I'll just give you some music instead. Just enjoy the music. You don't need, because the music has a lot of fun. The baby says, forget it. I want milk. That's all I want. I don't know what you're talking about, what music is and so on. Slowly, however, even after the baby is fed sometimes, the baby starts crying. And you say it is not wet, it's okay, everything's diaper has been changed. It's still crying. So then you start to introduce music. You have this thing that rotates, ting, 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 ting. And the ability of the baby is now to appreciate the sound and slowly. And so it starts to appreciate sukshma bhuk. And so it starts by being on this scale, this end of the scale. But eventually what we should do is to understand that the finest experiences are through knowledge, through study, through music. It is not just food. The food is there for you to just maintain your system and so on and so forth. But really it is the finer things that you have to do. eventually seeing that really the very nature of the Atma is Anandamayaha. This is the ultimate pursuit of Sukshma Bhuk. So anyway, so that's what we saw. And there, just on the point of the Ananda Bhuk, just the last, I think we've already done that even in the Ananda Bhuk, because the Anandamayaha Pragyaha is also visible to you, it's also experienced by you in the Jagrat Avastha. So really speaking, any time you are completely satisfied, completely, for a short time, completely, it is like deep sleep. You don't want anything. You're okay. Whether it's sometimes, you hear a song which you really like, and it just, or whether you're eating some rasagulla or some barfi or some ice cream, as we were discussing, leopard's ice cream and so on. At the end of that, or really speaking, they say when you go to a pilgrimage, or even if you go to a temple, local temple, but pilgrimage is better because, why is a pilgrimage better? Because you tried your best to go through some trouble to get there. Here, if you go to a local temple, you say it's always there. So you don't have the sense of anticipation. But regardless, if you go to a pilgrimage, the experience of Ananda, where you really look at, like you go to Vaishno Devi, and you go through all of this travel and so on and so forth, and you see the Devi, and you know what happens? The Ananda is with your eyes closed. You ultimately close your eyes, and you experience the Ananda yourself. Similarly, when you're eating ice cream, at the end of that, you just have a sense of satisfaction. And so there, the bhokta, the bhogyam, the object of the enjoyment, the enjoyer, all disappear. All disappear. So this is the method where we look at the nature of Ananda. But this looking at the nature of the Ananda can be classified as a Sukshma Bhuk. You see, just like you have, for example, supposing you are, if you are very fortunate to be born into a family where classical music is played, taught, practiced, and enjoyed. It takes a long time for you to understand the ragas and the subtleties and so on. But once you do, the enjoyment of classical music is something that the normal person cannot understand. So similarly here also, the classical music in the form of the analysis of Ananda. So this is what it is. So it is interesting, this word nibodhata. The word nibodhata is an important one because it says, and Swami Maheswaranji makes a very good commentary on this word. He says that the Anandamayaha in the Pragyaha is just given to you without thinking. In fact, you cannot think, you should not think. It's just given to you. But to see that the same Ananda permeates through your Jagrat Avastha requires some thinking. It requires thinking means that when you are, see for example, supposing you go and in fact do this please. This is a good experiment. Just say that my teacher told me. Go to an ice cream parlor. Right after the class if you can. Just go to an ice cream parlor and instead of just simply enjoying the ice cream, you're welcome to do so, think about the process of Ananda as you're eating ice cream. As you're eating ice cream, think about the process of Ananda. How is it happening? Enjoy the taste. What is the nature of Ananda? Is it in the ice cream or is it in you? So this should be called Nibodhata. Nibodhata means Nischayena Bodhata. Bodhata means please think about it, understand it. And Nischayena Bodhata means very definitely, with a lot of purpose. That is the purpose of the Karika. Karika pointing out it is not just there are 3 states and you're this, so on and so forth, but what's the implication of it? That the elements of the 3 states of experiences are actually present in the Jagrat Avastha, because this is where our knowledge will take place. See, so that's the interesting thing to see. You cannot become wise in your dream. You have to be fully awake. And even the Jagrat Avastha is not fully awake. It is partially awake. You are kind of like sleepwalking. You're sleepwalking. But in order to be fully awake, you have to be in the Jagrat Avastha. You cannot be in the sleep Avastha. You cannot be in the dream Avastha. So that's why the Karika is pointing out that you need to now begin to see the nature of bhoga as a suks, as something you have to appreciate. You have to appreciate. So that's the meaning of, anyway, that's the verse number 3. Now, this analysis is carried forth in the next verse, number 4, where the operative word is not bhogam, but triptim. And we'll explain what that means. So I just wanted to give you that introduction to verse number 4. So let's at least pronounce number 4. You can just follow after me. Sthulam tarpayate vishwam praviviktam tu taijasam anandascha tatha pragyam tridha triptim nibodhata. So, triptim. So, tripting means a sense of joy, satisfaction. Here, the English translator has said gratification. I'm not sure gratification is anyway, it's okay. But a sense of tripti means that a sense of joy. I'm okay. So this is this is a final form of bhogam. So verse number 3 was talking about the analysis of bhogam. Here the next level is that of triptim, and it is also very similar to the 3 of them. So let's look into that. In fact, one thing that I should do, and this author has done a good job, is to do an anvaya of the verse in Sanskritam. And for those of you that have some knowledge of Sanskritam, you will see that. So in number 4, if you just follow just below on page number 2, just below page verse number 4, it says Anvaya Sthulam Vishwam Tarpayate Praviviktam tu Taijasam Tarpayate Tatha Anandaha Pragyam Tarpayate Iti Tridha Triptim Nibodhata. Nice Anvaya, very good. And so the English translation of that is that the gross gratifies Vishwa, then he says rarefied again. So means pravivikta. Pravivikta means separated from that. Separated, we have already gone through this word. Separated here means that a completely independent, like in the Swapnavastha, we have seen this before. In the Swapnavastha, the gratification is not an offshoot of anything that you are feeling in the Jagrat Avastha. It's an independent one, completely independent. Like for instance, supposing you had a good meal and you went to sleep, then the feeling that I am still hungry in the dream is possible, and this feeling is an independent feeling. This is the meaning of Pavivikta book. Anyway, he says rarefied. I'm not sure rarefied is the right one. And then the word bliss means just total joy, pragya. So know this gratification to be threefold. So anyway, that's just the English translation. And so here in the fourth verse, a sense of satisfaction is taken up. Just looking at some of the words, some of the things that Swami Maheshananji is extremely effusive and verbose in these. Sometimes, for example, in the next one, he's taking like 14, 15 pages to describe this one. And I'm not sure we'll have the time, so I'm just trying to summarize some of his thoughts in the time frame that we have. So here again, there is I think we pretty much covered it. So all the verse number 4 does is to focus in on not just the experience, but a sense of satisfaction due to the experience. That's the difference between bhogam and triptim. Otherwise, the words are the same, as you can see between number 3 and 4. So there Swami Maheshananji also pointed out, again, I think we pretty much covered it, that when it comes to the one form of the Srishti, which is animals, their tripti, and they also have tripti, they have a sense of satisfaction also. It is all sthula tripti. Sthula tripti. So there's a cow, and a cow is actually not a good example. Cow is, this is why it is, I just happened to just think about that the example was given by cows and buffaloes, so that's why. Cow is a very special animal. This is why it is revered, that its sense of motherhood to its calves is just amazing. There's a lot of description about the purity of the cow and so on and so forth. So it's not an ordinary animal. That's why we worship it. Anyway, so if you look at animals in general, their tripti is sthula tripti. If they're hungry, they will feel they'll show you they're hungry. And once they eat, they just go to sleep. That's it. There's nothing else to be done. We are happy. Just sthula bhog. Then, in the human beings, there is in fact 2 factors. So one is sthula bhog. We also have the same hunger. We still want to be full of food. But then there is the samskara tripti. Samskara tripti means that in the case of human beings, your past experiences, both good and bad, are stored in the form of adrishta phala. So this adrishta phala means that not yet fructified, but to be fructified. And how is it to be fructified? In the form of your samskaras, your thoughts that propel you to do the next thing. And sometimes good things, sometimes not so good things. But there is some impelling of thoughts, which is not there in the animals. Just look at the difference. Because the animal's thought is just basically, is there enough food for me? If not, what do I do? Where do I go? You look at on my window when I go and just sit at home and just I have a beautiful view of outside. I see so many birds. And I watch them. They are busy in finding food. That's all they're doing the whole day. They're just looking back. Perhaps they have some family that they have to also feed. So there is a natural sense of responsibility. But other than that, they are morning through evening. Actually, it's interesting. They look for food and they try to avoid becoming a food for the bigger ones. Because once in a while we see these huge birds. They're watching for some small animals and they just swipe them up. Have you seen this video? Beautiful video. If you haven't seen it, you should really see that. There is a bird called osprey. And this bird has a wingspan which is just amazing, like 12 feet, huge wingspan. And the osprey is such an intelligent bird, it can swoop down and take a fish several feet below the surface of the water. And it just keeps on watching, and as soon as the fish is coming up to the shore, it swoops down and catches them, and then that's it. So they've taken a lot of videos of this. So anyway, what I'm saying is that in the case of the animals, they are sthula bhuk. They don't have any samskaras. Then human beings now have not only sthula bhuk, but they're also sukshma bhuk because we're based on samskaras. And the samskaras are the ones that determine your life. And those samskaras are kept in the pragya. They are kept in the pragya by Ishvara for you. They are kept in the sort of like the cloud and never forgotten. No mistakes. And your samskaras are the ones that really fructify in the form of the next action. And so this is the sukshma bhuk that occurs. And another thing Swami Maheshananji pointed out, he says, you know what? People that indulge in sthula bhuk, and by the way, sthula bhuk also includes money, not just food, but also money. He's saying that if you examine the nature of the people who are primarily indulging in sthula bhuk, their personality also is kind of like gross. Another thing he pointed out is that, for example, the jealousy is much more predominant in people who are sthula bhuk. Because, for example, if you made money, you feel I've made some money, and you find somebody else who has made more money, your whole satisfaction goes quickly. Your sense of jealousy goes complete. Swami Dayanand used to say that. He says, you know, if you look at the nature of various problems we have, the most irrational is jealousy. And how? Because, if supposing your health is not okay, you don't have enough money, your problems with the family, or so on and so forth, those are natural, very rational. Supposing you have enough money, your health is okay, your children are doing okay, everything is fine, and so on and so forth. But you meet somebody at the party whose child has made it big, and they've got 18 grandchildren, you only have 4. Your whole sense of jealousy, your sense of satisfaction goes. Hey, a minute ago before you met that person, weren't you very happy? Yes, I was very happy because all the conditions were there. But then what happened now? Well, I wish I had this. So Swami Maheshananji says, it's interesting that the Sthula book, jealousy becomes a watchword. Whereas in the Sukshma book, he says that if you follow scientists who are really doing some good work and they meet someone else who's doing even better work, the jealousy is not there because they'll say, wonderful, I'm happy that you're doing this. Can I learn something from you? They might say that this is wonderful, I wasn't able to figure this out. There may be a tinge of that, which is natural. But this whole satisfaction going out of the window is not there. Anyway, so he was describing all the Sukshma book. Then, just to finish this topic, in the Anandamaya, both the Karana Karya are submerged. So Karana here is samskaras. Karyas are your way of thinking, of doing the next thing. In fact, this is interesting. This is just on a separate thing here altogether. They say that for the making a progress in your life, one of the things you should get used to and prefer that you do it is not to do any more sankalpas. We've talked about this some other place also, but this is interesting. So what does it mean by not do any sankalpa? Don't do any independent planning. Don't do that. You go through whatever is happening. You improve it, try to accept it, try to improve things. That's okay. This is all prarabdha karma. But this sankalpa, wouldn't it be nice if we did this? Is okay for a complete ajnani, but for a jnani, jnani means one who is somewhat conversant with Vedanta, has not become a Jivan Mukta yet. So there's a difference between Jnani and Jivan Mukta. But even as a Jnani, one of the things we should try to do is not to do sankalpa. And Swami Tattvavidananda ji also has another version of this, which is very good. I thought it was I learned something from him when he said this. He said one of the things we should not do is to label things for what they are. Beautiful advice. You observe things, but to label them in the meaning that you pause and you characterize it, and it is kind of like a softer sankalpa. You say, this is a very bad person, this is an awful person. This is characterization. So you may meet some bad person who's saying some strange things and you don't agree with it and so on and so forth. So it's not as though you close your ears. Let's listen to it. It's okay. But to then put a kind of a delimiter on it, because now you have a kind of like a sankalpa that this is a very bad person. So next time you meet it, the first thought that comes to you is this is a bad person, when in fact there is no such thing as a bad person. So this is all part of the progress from a sthula bhuk to sukshma bhuk to an ananda bhuk. And in the ananda bhuk, the karana karya bhava is not there. The cause effect bhava is not there. Is not there. Because, and in fact, this is why the word nibodhata in the number in the number 4 also, same word is repeated both in 3 and 4. What it means is that the anandamaya pragya is naturally given to you by Ishvara. You don't have to think about it. It just is yours. Even if you are a murderer, this is an amazing thing, really. I tell you, I think about that. Even if you are a murderer, you have a deep sleep for a while. Amazing. So there it is given to you naturally, but in order to see the progression of ananda, see, this is the thing we should say, triptim. Triptim, in order to see the nature of satisfaction, one should see sthula bhuk on one side, sukshma bhuk in the middle, and finally ananda bhuk. And this is all part of, and I think we're running out of time today, we'll do that next time. It's all part of not being dependent on external things, but to see that my own nature is ananda. And this requires some analysis, some thinking. This is the word nibodhata. He says, please think about it. And so there we finish it off by saying, and in fact it's interesting, Swami Maheshananji also pointed out that, for example, the yogic samadhi, which means that you are slowly removing all of your thoughts, regulating your breathing, and doing all of that, results in an expression of ananda in yourself. And leave aside the yogic samadhi. One more very important thing is that discover your own sense of satisfaction without a cause. This is important stuff. In order for you to fully grasp that I am unlimitedly okay, an intermediate step is to feel that I can be okay without a cause. This is discovery. You just close your eye and say, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's not as though you need to, to do something. It's okay to enjoy a meal. That we're not saying all of that don't enjoy a meal, don't enjoy this, that, or the other. But in and through all of that, be aware of the fact that you can be okay without a cause. So this is the meaning of anandascha tatha pragyam. And this anandascha tatha pragyam is naturally given to you in deep sleep, and you have to invoke and be aware of that in the Jagrat Avastha also. This is the beauty of this teaching. And it's the beauty of teaching of where, all of these verses are still very cryptic. And it requires really, it was interesting, yesterday I had some time. This is where the teachers become, and their conditions are all different and so on. So I was looking at 4 books as to what they are saying. One was a book by Swami Chinmayananda. One was a book from Swami Akhandananda in Hindi, which I also have. Swami Pratyek Bodhananda gave me a whole set about 6-7 years ago, and I've been sort of going through this. One was a short lecture by Swami Paramarthananda, and one is the book Gaudapada Sara by Swami Maheshananda. And you begin to see, the explanation of the visions. There's no comparison. Swami Maheshananda is Swami Paramarthananda. His commentary was very short, so it was like teaching in a class or something like that. So it is not directly comparable. And same thing with Swami Chinmayananda, whose explanation was also not that weighty. It was kind of light, because he had to write a book or something. I don't know what the condition. So it's not an indictment of the people. But I think that how these things are brought out, how the subtlety of it really depends on the teacher. And and in fact, if anything, I think he goes into such detail that this is not the occasion to do so. So I have to shorten it and so on. But the depth and the understanding of the applicability, the clarity and so on, it's just all depends on how the teacher is. And so the Upanishad itself is very cryptic, and then on top of that, Sthula Tarpayate Vishwam Praviviktu. If somebody reads it, what do you get out of it? Nothing. But really the explanation that how we should see our life and begin to see what is the source of my joy. Is it just sthula? Is it sukshma? Or is it akaranam? And the word nibodhata, that was a great word, that you have to think about it. Anyway, we'll close it today. We'll go to verse number 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, I think, are very detailed ones, and I think I'll shorten it. I won't spend as much time on them for lots of reasons. We'll go to that next time. Om Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahisha Go Brahmanebhya Subhamastu Nityam Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyaha Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Kshobarahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityo Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Yeah, Ronnie?
So, if you observe children, they show, so I don't know whether this progression between school book, social book, and adult book is also progression with the stages of life of human person. You observe children, they're primarily in the school book stage, and they also exhibit a lot of jealousy. And so, as soon as one child has something, the other one wants exactly the same thing. So is that natural?
That's natural. That's so the human child, we grow very quickly. That's why the human being is a very special creation of Ishvara. That's why it takes so long. That's why your which family you come from is important. There's so many factors that come about, and so but quickly we have to transform the child to much more than that. So it's very natural that they all have that. But slowly, through learning, through samskara and so on, you grow into a complete human being. And then go out of, then just the vyavahara itself is very limited. So we have to grow out of that to the next level of, this is what I was saying that in the introduction to the Tuesday night class, I said that the value of teaching is that you begin to become more independent. And so that teaching comes from, from the Vedas and from other sources like that. So yeah, the child, that is a very natural thing. And then slowly you wean them out of that into something better. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, we learned that Jagrata Avastha has the remnants of
Correct.
Swapna and
yes.
Susupta. Can you please make comments when you see this through the lens of Baish Prajna, Ananda Prajna, and Ghana Prajna, or is the same as Ananda book, Stula book?
So I'm not quite sure that
Even I'm not sure about my question, because so what is the Bahish Prajna coming into these three come into
No,
this
so the thing is that the Bahish Prajna, I think, you see, the one thing that we should still see is that the main teaching of the Upanishad hasn't begun yet. That's in the seventh verse of, which is the positive one, which we will see, Nab Bahish Pragyana, Antah Pragyana, etc. So we will get a lot of commentary. We're just starting out. But regardless of that, up to this point, it's the Jagrata Avastha has everything in it.
Yes.
Has everything in it. But the utility is to be able to distinguish between things that are just for maintenance and those that are meant to be futuristic in terms of my progress towards finding my real value. So they're all there. They're all there. But we have to, this is the whole Nibodhata. The word Nibodhata means, and that means Viveka. That means Vairagya. It has a lot of things associated with it. But what it says is that in the pure form, Ishvara has given you an experience where you don't have to do something. For swapna, it is automatic. For deep sleep, it is automatic. You don't have to think about it. You're happy. But in the Jagrata Avastha is where the fun begins, because you have, as you say, remnants from the other ones. And now you have to distinguish which one is which, what's useful to me. And the inability to do that means that you just have a normal life, and you have really sort of like wasted the whole life. You haven't really accomplished what is meant for. Jagrata Avastha and a human being is meant for really making progress for the future, and to really become independent while you are there. And our inability to start the whole process because of not knowing how to distinguish and so on and so forth is the problem. And so this is what we have to do. So anyway, we'll keep on discussing this and much more to do. Yes?
Yeah, what is when no sankalpa and we have goal setting to become this engineer or doctor or some business?
So there, again, the stages of life have to be kept in mind. So as in the first two stages, which is as a student and as a grihastha, all those are very important, appropriate. As you enter number 3 and number 4, vanaprastha and so on, now it is time not to make fresh plans, but to digest what's already going on and to think about it and to become disengaged. So the vanaprastha is where the beginning of, and there also it's not as though suddenly, because vanaprastha, they say, should be at 50. 50 meaning you don't even have grandchildren yet and this, that or the other. So it's not black and white. But slowly the trend is that, when you're very old, what does a sankalpa mean? This is interesting, this guy, Ackman, who's still acquiring, he's 80 years old. And he is getting on the board of companies and so on. I just, my God, just why? You've got enough money, but some kind of a thinking that I've got to do this. So the lack of sankalpa should be gradual in the later stages of life. Yeah. All right, we'll see you next week.